Good evening, good night, and good morning somewhere. Thank you so much for joining us today for Sister Hold My Hand. I am so honored to be joined by Roberta. Roberta, thank you so much for joining me today. I was saying when we were off screen that actually this is your domain because you are such an amazing podcaster and presenter. I feel humbled.
First of all, thanks for the invitation, Dr. Michelle. As I said, you are the captain of this ship. I'm the one who is honored to be in your presence. And thanks for inviting me to be part of your series. And as much as you said, I'm the podcaster, the presenter. Yes, I'm too much on communications. That's all I ever talk about. But I know that what you are bringing is going to be something I'm going to learn from as well. So I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being here. And as we've said, we're both members actually of Sister Hold My Hand, former members. And it's such a pleasure to have you here today to discuss one of my most favorite topics, really, gratitude and the significance and the importance of gratitude. Yes. Now, we were speaking, oops, I am going to turn off my phone. See, do you see what I meant about presenting
Yes.
in the moment? So on Thursday, no, it was Friday this week actually, because I had half term, so I had children around and it was a bit of a busy time. So I adjusted the time to a Thursday for our LinkedIn audio room, Roberta, and it was about gratitude and how important gratitude is in our lives, but how important is to really introduce it as a parenting tool. As you know, I'm an educational child psychologist, and I'm really passionate about supporting parents with navigating the world for their children, particularly the online world, but the world generally. I'm really thinking about picking out tools for what's the best way of supporting our children to develop and evolve into the best form of themselves, really. So, yeah. So I love things, all psychology, and I'm really, really motivated about looking into research, particularly positive psychology research, as much as possible, and seeing how we can integrate that into our lives. So today is all about gratitude. So Roberta, I wanted to ask you first off um, if you've ever really used gratitude as a practice in your work.
In my work, yes. And I'll give an example. What, no matter where I've been, I mean, even before this, I had a professional career, I had a teaching career in South Korea. There, wherever you are, no matter the industry, you'll always have challenges. There'll always be moments when you are unsure. There'll always be moments when you think, this is not feeling comfortable. Where I've applied gratitude is in instances where I've felt learn to appreciate what you have, because what it does is it even changes your physiology and your literally your brain, your outlook when you feel despondent.
Yeah.
And if and the most dangerous part about feeling despondent is sometimes you make life-changing decisions in the middle of the despondency. So when you when you step back and you realize what you're thankful for, something you get calm, your brain calms down, your body changes as well, and you start to feel better and you can think clearly. So what it has done, it has saved me in situations where I would have made some regrettable decisions because we usually act on emotion. And it has helped me in a lot of times to just feel grateful for where I am. And then I can think clearly after that.
Absolutely. That's a great example, really, of how we really change the adversity that we may be experiencing by focusing on what we do have and the here and now. I'm really fascinated by the research that's been conducted within positive psychology about gratitude and how helpful it is for our mental health. So often if we think about low mood or depression, people are constantly ruminating on low mood, things that make them feel low, thinking about their past experiences, regrets, what they wish they could have done, um, or the worries that they have in their lives now. We only need to think about the cost of living crisis that we're going through now, the talk of recession, the struggles that people experience during lockdown. or COVID in 2020, bereavement loss, etc. All of these things really impact on our persona, really, and on our mood. So the
Mm,
more we are thinking and feeling about how terrible things are, how difficult it is, it does really impact on our mental health and our ability to think through and navigate really difficult and adverse situations. So we're not saying they're not there, but actually what gratitude allows you to do, like you said, is reframe and almost, just look at it from a different lens. So it's still the same occurrence, but really we can think about actually, but that's not going well. But what is it that I can be grateful for? And and I really encourage when I'm working with parents and children is really to kind of explore with their children, what is it that you could be grateful for? And when you're doing it with children, they often go to the things, this toy, that, this screen that I've got at the moment, the physical things, which of course we can be grateful for. But what about all the other things? I often encourage children that I work with to really think about all the things that we have around us, being grateful for breathing, being grateful for waking up, being grateful for being able to walk to school, being grateful for, being able to listen to this type of music, having the radio, having Spotify, for example, or whatever they listen to at the moment, but really embracing that gratitude is everywhere and encouraging it as a practice. So on Thursday, we were talking about how we can integrate it as a practice into our lives. So we had some really wonderful ideas that came up. One of them was about using the gratitude list. And that can be integrated pretty much into the family. So it could be on a weekly basis that you're really thinking about what is it that you've been grateful for this week? What's worked well? And I often encourage parents as well at the end of a school day. Is there anything like the children that I work with? You ask them, "Oh, how was your day?" And it's like, you get a grunt or, it was okay. Whereas, if you can encourage them to say, well, what were you grateful for today? It kind of instills the curiosity a bit more and gets them to explore a bit more what was working well and what encouraged them, what was encouraging in the day for them. So that's one way in which I really try to encourage the parents and the children that I work with to use gratitude. So I know speaking to you that you are a global citizen, really, and you have traveled and been, into many spaces and many corners of the world. Have you seen gratitude practices? I'm putting you on the spot here, but have you seen gratitude practices culturally in different spaces that you've been in?
Um, I'm South African, so I lived in Korea in the last decade. Let me quote that example. In South Korea, during September, they have like half the week. It's called Chuseok, Korean Thanksgiving,
Mhm,
where everybody goes to Seoul is like the capital city. Everybody goes to their hometowns to be with their families to think, and then they will the next day when the actual Chuseok day starts, they go to the graves of their ancestors. If when an ancestor was alive and he liked soju, you would bring a bottle of soju to his grave
mhm.
as a we remember you and we thank you for leaving us the legacy that is our country today, for leaving us the legacy in our families, the traditions, everything. It is a literal holiday to go and say thank you. Imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it, isn't it? Appreciating what you have around you. And I love that you're thanking the lineage from where you've come, and that can
Mm,
be so powerful and embracing for the family. Because often we kind of think about the here and now,
mhm.
or the just gone, which again, as I was talking about earlier, can lead to us kind of ruminating and feeling, well, actually, this hasn't worked really well. But it's Black History Month. It was Black History Month in America in February, and here it's later in the year. And I always, have a discussion with my child about that, about our history and where we've come from, etc. And really want him to kind of explore and think about what grace and gratitude looks like. because, you know, we have different experiences today. We have things that are a strength, but what is it that we have that's quite challenging as well, you know, that we can reframe and look at in terms of gratitude? You know, one of the things that we were talking about the other day is he was saying to me, Mum, what's the best experiment? What's the best, not experiment, what's the best discovery that you think, you know? And I was saying, oh, there's so many things. There's electricity, you know, there is the wheel, you know, where do we start? And of course, he was saying, I think it's a mobile phone. So we were having a discussion about that. But also what we would be grateful for, you know, be grateful for all these people that have been able to discover how to, you know, use these things that we didn't have before, and how life would be different. Some of it, I think, better, to be honest, but some of it would be more of a challenge, wouldn't it? And more time consuming. So it's been really helpful to think about it in that way.
Right. And yes, like your son said, the mobile phone, so many advantages to that. I live in a different country. If it wasn't for WhatsApp and seeing my mom's face every day and my brother's, I wouldn't know what to do. But here's the caveat to that. With technology and the world being so global and technology making us so accessible to each other, the reason why gratitude has become such a hot topic is because then it kicks in this idea of comparing.
Yeah,
If Dr. Michele posts an expensive meal where she went with her husband last week, I'm going to ask my significant other to take me there. If he can't afford it, I'm unhappy. If you post your new car and we don't have a car that night, this comparison is the reason so many people feel there's a void in their lives,
that's right.
and they have to actively be asked and be persuaded to be thankful for what they have, because every day you're scrolling, you see better stuff, nicer stuff, richer stuff, every single day. We didn't have this growing up. I'm 48. There were no mobile phones. They were invented when I finished high school. So my little world, we were such happy kids because that's all we knew.
Yep.
And
Yep.
sometimes, as much as we enjoy these new things and we love them and we enjoy what we can about them, there are moments when we should just go back to the basics, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's that fear of missing something, isn't it? The fear of missing out. You know, if I just focus on where I am, what I am grateful for, will I miss something over here? And the truth is, no, you won't.
Mm-mm.
You know, no, you won't. But what you will get is some attention and time with yourself, which is so important, especially at this time where attention is such a huge issue. You know, we've got a limited attention span at the moment. I think because of social media, because of being bombarded the whole time with more and more, more and more, more and more information. So, what a gift it is to ourselves to be able to step back and say, actually, I'm giving this time to myself. I am grateful for what I have here. And I'm going to spend that time just exploring what I have to be, you know, what there is to be grateful for.
Hmm.
And that's such a good example, you know, how we can almost turn social media on its head, turn screen time on its head, and really think about, actually, I'm going to be grateful in this time for what I have. And it doesn't have to be what I see out there. Because often, as we know, particularly as adults, it's often what we see online isn't the whole picture.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And speaking of spending time with yourself, Dr. Michele, the stuff out there, you think it's going to fill the void. But the funny thing is, when you get to know yourself, every potential void, lack of a better word, you could feel would be filled by that. You will realize everything you have is within. You'll have that
Absolutely.
peace, that love, everything. And so all the outside stuff, when you go to enjoy it, it's
Mhm.
just a bonus. It's a cherry on the top. You enjoy it, but it's not a I need that external stuff to
Absolutely.
feel and
Absolutely.
full here. Mm.
You know, and I think the thing is with gratitude is it allows you to stay grounded. It allows you to appreciate what you have around you. And what's encouraging is research indicates the more grounded you are, the more optimistic you are, the more likely you are to live healthily, because you're not focused on everything that could go wrong. You're not spending your time in worry, and you're living life with a more joyous experience. So actually, like attracts like. So if you are feeling that way, you're more grateful, you're more likely to remain connected to people. And that's so important as well, because the more connection you have, again, the less likely you are going to want to seek externally other things to fill in that time. So I'm really, really, really passionate about how we integrate gratefulness into our day-to-day practice. So the other day we were talking very much about what we could do, whether it was a gratitude jar. Don't know if you've heard of that one where you write something, you write something that you're grateful for in the jar. You write a list of them and put them in the jar, and every so often, you take one out. Or an article that I was asked to write the other day, which is very similar to a gratitude list, really. It's called a sunshine folder. And what you
Hmm.
do is, and this would be a pleasant way, really, of using your phone or the laptop or your desktop, you put in a folder all of the things that are, the kind of happy moments you've had. Perhaps it was somebody writing a testimony for you, somebody congratulating you on something, perhaps a picture that you really loved. And you put it all in one place. So, in a period of time where you might be feeling low, or you might just think, actually, I just want to have a bit of a feel-good moment, you go back and you look at these things, which again encourage gratitude and grace, you know, that I
Hmm.
like that. Is there any way that you encourage gratitude or practice gratitude on a day-to-day basis?
I will come to that in a moment, but I just remembered an incident I had just before our call.
Hmm.
You know how we've gotten so accustomed to complaining or to just saying, fine. So I had a call and the person on the other side asked me, say, Roberta, how are things going today? Like, yeah, it's the same old, same old. I'm like, wait a minute. I received really exciting news this morning.
Uh-huh.
That should have been the first thing I mentioned. When you said, how are things this morning? I should have said, oh my goodness, you don't know how great this is. I got exciting news. I didn't have to tell him, but I had to be excited. And there was a reason to be excited about something. But we've become so accustomed to complaining,
Yeah.
to saying, same old as any other day. Wait, why was that
Uh,
not at the forefront of my mind? That I received really great, exciting news.
we are so used to it. Like you said, the pattern is, oh, like we spend the day, we seek out bad news. That's why we've got a whole news industry. We're interested and more motivated by the bad news. Unfortunately, unless we absolutely focus on intending grace and gratitude and thankfulness, because we tend to kind of think, oh, this isn't going to work well, or oh, yeah, it was okay, rather than really focusing on actually, this has been great.
Hmm. And here's the thing. So back to asking about my practice. A while back, a lot of us, let me do affirmations, let me do affirmations. And I've been wondering, why are my affirmations not working? I'm writing them in the present, like the said, say it's happening now. And I a few months ago, I listened to someone who said, feeling, that's the gratitude part now, the feelings, right?
Yes.
Feeling, it's not just reading and say, I have this, I have that. But feeling like it already is there, you will
Yeah.
feel differently, Dr. Michelle.
Yeah.
You can read them and say, I do this, I have this. But when you feel like it's already there, it feels very different. And that's
Very
the
different.
gratitude part. It feels very different because you can read your affirmations, but feel the lack of the thing that you still don't have it. It's a very different feeling. That's not gratitude. When you feel like you lack the thing, that is not gratitude.
Immersing yourself in this feeling of being grateful because it's already there, you already have it, is, I think, the
It
key.
all goes back to gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Already be thankful that it's so, because everything you are, you already have it. So when you say, I want these things, I'm gonna lottery, everything. because you're still feeling the lack of it. That's why people wonder why affirmations don't work. No. You're not feeling like someone who already did, because if you did, you'd always be happy. You'd always be grateful. You'd always think I have more than enough that I need. Do you feel like that?
Absolutely. I do. And I try to really kind of immerse myself in that on a regular basis. Sometimes I forget. But
No, I'm going to talk about you specifically, Dr. Michele, but just in general, anybody listening, whenever people are, these affirmations are not working, it's because you're not already feeling like those, because you would feel very differently if your life was the way that you think it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for those pearls of wisdom today. I knew it was going to go really quickly speaking to you, and the time has flown by. So, Roberta, you've given a wonderful example, really, about how you practice gratitude with the affirmations. Is there any last pearls that you'd like to leave for our audience today?
Whether it be you write 5 things down that you're grateful for, you need to start actively looking for reasons with so much in your life that you have that you need to be grateful for. And you'd be amazed. You have more than you can ever imagine. But because we're busy scrolling and comparing, whether it's scrolling online or comparing with neighbors, yes, we live in a capitalistic society, but can we just step back and just literally, they say, count your blessings, literally count your blessings. You'd be amazed. It's because mentally we're not focusing on what we already have. There's so much we already have. And I love that you are on a mission to help children practice this, start this practice, Dr. Michele, because it starts when young. And can you imagine when they get to be our age, it would be second nature to them, and it will be much happier people.
Absolutely.
Much happier.
Absolutely. One of the things that I wanted to say today at the end on is how grateful I am that you are one of the sisters and Sister Hold My Hand. I'm so grateful for the support that you've always offered. I mean, I think we could replace your name, Roberta, with just yes. You're the one that comes, even today, you were like, is there somebody that can come on? And you were like, yes, of course, yes. So I want to thank you for that. Really appreciate that, Roberta. And come and join us on Sister Hold My Hand. We'd love to see you, love to hear from you. Please subscribe and join us on LinkedIn if you can. And keep an eye out here for our programs, our videos that are on regularly. We're trying to keep you enticed and interested and motivated and encouraged. So thank you so much today for joining me, Roberta, for Sister Hold My Hand.
Thank you, Dr. Michele, my fellow sister.
Pleasure.